Today, I want to talk about an issue that affects us all, yet is seldom discussed. It is the fear of expressing our ideas due to the fear of ridicule or rejection. While this fear might seem trivial, I assure you, it has the potential to rob humanity of something extraordinary. But first, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe, and let's grow this channel together. And please comment below, and let me know your thoughts and suggestions. Thank you. When we look back at our history, we find countless examples of individuals who faced such fear, overcame it, and forever changed the course of human understanding. Let's reflect upon the lives of 6 such individuals. Let's start with Ignaz Semmelweis, a Hungarian physician known as the savior of mothers. In the 19th century, Semmelweis proposed the revolutionary idea of hand hygiene in medical facilities to prevent childbed fever, a leading cause of maternal death at the time. He insisted that doctors should wash their hands with a chlorinated solution before attending to their patients. However, his idea was met with mockery and scorn. His peers, unwilling to accept that they might be the cause of this deadly disease, ridiculed Semmelweis, and he was even committed to a mental asylum. Yet his dogged insistence on this practice eventually became a fundamental principle of modern medicine, saving countless lives. Our second hero, Onesimus, was an enslaved African man living in Boston in the late 17th and early 18th centuries. He was owned by Cotton Mather, a prominent Puritan minister known for his influence in the early American colonies. Mather noted Onesimus was a pretty intelligent fellow, and he took interest in his knowledge and experience. This intelligence was revealed in a profound way when a smallpox epidemic hit Boston in 1721. Onesimus shared with Mather an African method of inoculation against the disease that he had undergone before his enslavement. This involved extracting material from an infected person and scratching it into the skin of an uninfected person, thereby allowing the uninfected person to develop a mild case of the disease and subsequent immunity. This concept was radical and alarming to a city in the grip of a smallpox outbreak. The idea of purposefully infecting someone with a disease, even in a controlled manner, was met with significant skepticism, fear, and even outrage. Moreover, there was considerable resistance to the notion that an enslaved African might possess medical knowledge that could surpass European understanding. Despite this opposition, Mather became an ardent advocate of inoculation. He faced intense criticism and public backlash, including a firebomb thrown into his house with a note reading, "I'll inoculate you with this." Nonetheless, the inoculation experiment went ahead, with a group of exposed individuals undergoing the procedure. The results were promising. While the disease claimed many lives in Boston, most of those who were inoculated survived, demonstrating the effectiveness of the practice Onesimus had described. Onesimus's contribution to public health did not end in Boston. The successful use of inoculation during the outbreak contributed to its acceptance in America and Europe. The method was used in subsequent outbreaks, and was a precursor to the development of vaccination by Edward Jenner later in the century. Onesimus's story, though, goes largely untold. As an enslaved African, his contribution was ignored or downplayed for a long time. Yet the knowledge he shared potentially saved thousands of lives and impacted public health strategies for centuries to come. Onesimus's life is a testament to the courage it takes to share one's ideas and knowledge, especially in the face of skepticism and prejudice. His story serves as a reminder that no matter our circumstances, each of us has the potential to contribute significantly to humanity's progress. Turning to the world of science, we find Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Born in Delft, Holland, in 1632, Anton van Leeuwenhoek was a draper and civic official. He had no formal scientific training, which makes his scientific accomplishments even more astonishing. His initial interest in science was sparked through his work as a draper, where he used magnifying glasses to examine the quality of fabrics. Not satisfied with the magnification provided by the existing lenses, he taught himself new methods of grinding and polishing tiny lenses of great curvature, which magnified objects much more than the crude microscopes of his time. Using these handmade microscopes, which could magnify up to 300 times, Leeuwenhoek began observing the world around him. In a droplet of water, he discovered tiny organisms he called animalcules, including protozoa and bacteria. In addition, he examined the structure of plants, the life cycle of insects, and the fine structure of muscle tissue, among others. His observations also included the first descriptions of red blood cells and spermatozoa. In 1673, he began corresponding with the Royal Society of London, sharing his observations. His reports were so astonishing that they initially met with skepticism from some members of the Royal Society. They found it hard to believe in the existence of a world invisible to the naked eye, an idea that contradicted the accepted wisdom of the time. Some critics even suggested that Leeuwenhoek was suffering from delusions. However, Leeuwenhoek did not let the skepticism deter him. He invited anyone who doubted his findings to come and see for themselves. In 1677, the Royal Society sent a delegation to verify his observations. The delegation was amazed to confirm Leeuwenhoek's discoveries, and he was later elected a Fellow of the Royal Society in 1680. Leeuwenhoek continued his work almost until his death in 1723, making hundreds of important observations during his lifetime. He left behind over 500 microscopes and a vast collection of letters documenting his discoveries. Today, Leeuwenhoek is recognized as the father of microbiology, and his discoveries laid the groundwork for future scientific research in biology and medicine. His life serves as an example of how curiosity, perseverance, and the courage to challenge conventional wisdom can lead to discoveries that revolutionize our understanding of the world. Next, let's talk about John Snow. No, not that John Snow. This John Snow, a 19th century English physician. During the 1854 cholera outbreak in London, he challenged the widespread belief that cholera spread through polluted air. Instead, he proposed that cholera was waterborne, traced it back to a contaminated water pump, and suggested that removing the pump handle could stop the outbreak. His theory was mocked, and he faced significant professional opposition. However, Snow did not back down, and his tenacity led to the birth of modern epidemiology and significant improvements in public health policies. Maybe I'll do a separate video on this guy and call it A Song of Air and Water. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. However, if that sounds like a video that would pique your interest, drop a comment below and let me know. I digress. Where were we? In the realm of astronomy, we find Nicolaus Copernicus, a Renaissance-era mathematician and astronomer. Copernicus proposed a heliocentric model of the cosmos, where the Earth and other planets revolve around the Sun. This directly challenged the geocentric model which had been widely accepted for centuries. For fear of ridicule and persecution, Copernicus delayed the publication of his findings until the end of his life. Yet his bold idea revolutionized our understanding of the universe and set the stage for modern astronomy. Finally, we look at Rosalind Franklin, a 20th century British chemist. Her X-ray diffraction studies were fundamental in understanding the molecular structure of DNA. As a woman in a male-dominated field, she faced gender discrimination, and her contributions were largely overlooked during her life. Her work was instrumental in the discovery of the DNA double helix, but full credit was only given posthumously. So, what can we learn from these courageous individuals? Despite the fear of rejection and ridicule, they held firm to their ideas. They remind us that it is not the validation from others that determines the value of our ideas, but their intrinsic worth. And often, this worth reveals itself in time. I urge you, do not let fear silence your ideas. Yes, rejection and ridicule might sting, but the cost of withholding your ideas, the loss to humanity, might be much greater. Who knows? You could be holding the next revolutionary concept that could alter the course of human history. Remember Semmelweis. Remember Onesimus. Remember Leeuwenhoek, Snow, Copernicus, and Franklin. Let their lives inspire you to overcome fear and express your ideas. The world needs them. The world needs you. Thank you for watching.